Hey guys, it's Glenn here. I'm up in Neponsit in Rockaway Beach. And right in front of me, as you can see, is what used to be called Neposit Beach Hospital, or as most of us probably know it, is the Neponsit Nursing Home. So this building has been vacant for probably a quarter of a century, and it's been neglected and not maintained, and at the end of the day, this building is going to be coming down shortly. So you could see the wood boards around the perimeter of the facility. So this building is going to be torn down soon. The city was spending a lot of money every year to provide security for the building and maintain what little bit they did, but it's this building's going to come down soon. But it's got an amazing history. It was built sometime in the early 1900s, and it was built after a law by New York State that was going to acquire a large part of the western portion of the Rockaways for parkland. And as you can see in the distance over there, that's the Riis Park bathhouses, and it's a little bit in the distance. You won't see it, but at the time when it was built was the parking lot, and at the time when it was built, I believe it was the largest parking lot in the United States. I think it was the largest parking lot till like Disneyland was built, which is pretty interesting. So what happened was a law was passed to make this land parkland, but as part of the law, a portion of it was going to be made for a hospital. And you can see the facility here. Back in the day, it was probably gorgeous. You could see the green tin roof. And I think over here they ended up building like nurses' quarters and stuff like that. So there's a few buildings. And in the distance, you could see, if you could see the smokestack for the power plant for the hospital. So they had their own power plant, which was interesting. So as part of this law, they passed where part of the parkland would be used for a hospital. And this hospital was a tuberculosis hospital. So that's something interesting. So, and it was used as a tuberculosis hospital till sometime. I think it served kids in the beginning, and then it was then it was soldiers during World War II. And then after the war, it really, it didn't serve much of a purpose anymore. Of course, TB was kind of like, I guess, on the way out. So really wasn't being used anymore as for TB patients. So what ended up happening was they ended up making it into a nursing home. So growing up, this was the Neponsit Nursing Home that I remember. But an interesting thing is part of that law that was to make this parkland and then to build a hospital there to provide TB care was, in the law, there was a deed restriction that said if ever the land is not used for a hospital, that it must revert back to parkland. And that is in the deed. So that's what you call a deed restriction. So there's a deed restriction on this property. So, through the years, there's been lots of talk of lots of different things happening here. There's been talk about like luxury housing, luxury condos, a hotel. As I mentioned, a wounded warrior hospital for wounded veterans coming back. So there's been a lot of talk, but if this gets torn down, it's not used as a hospital any longer. It has to revert back to parkland because of that deed restriction. And you can see here, it's right up at the end of Neponsit on 149th Street. I don't know if you could hear the wind. The wind is starting to kick up a little bit. So 149th Street is called Bay 1. This was through the years. I remember when I was a little kid, we would play baseball over here, and there was a big nude beach. And it's also a very big beach with the LGBTQ community. And the icon, it's an interesting thing. I'll show you this over here. So they have a little mural set up for Ms. Columbia. And Ms. Columbia was an icon in the LGBTQ community. And you can see along the seawall here. So unfortunately, she drowned some years ago. I think like 4 or 5 years ago. Actually out here in the Rockaway, and you'd see her walking around. Had a dog, little poodle, a parrot, and was very well known, just not only in the Rockaways, but throughout the city. So they have that mural here. And you could see the building in itself. It could have been maintained. It could have been a nice place to keep open. It really should have. They should have tried to keep it open the best they can. Again, it was, for those who remember, it was sometime, in the late 90s, where Rudy Giuliani in the middle of the night evacuated the hospital. So they evacuated the hospital and said it was going to fall down, but here we are, 25 years later, and it's still standing. So, maybe he was good friends with a developer or something. But if you get a chance, come up to like 149th Street, take some final pictures of this historic building. It was probably a wonderful building in its heyday. But let's hopefully the community gets involved when it comes time to planning whatever is going to be done here as far as a park is concerned. But it really is a beautiful, beautiful beach, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. It's very tranquil, very peaceful, and actually, we're coming up. Actually, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, or 2 days is Thanksgiving, so it's going to be Thanksgiving in a couple days. So, just wanted to share this part of the Neponsit nursing home with you guys, and I hope you guys and your families and everybody has a very, very blessed Thanksgiving. Thank you.